So over time, by doing these practices, you can start to have more space in your experience during the day in which you're not crazy. More space in the experience during the day in which you are grounded and centered and aware of reality as reality is. And as that occurs and you start to interact with life that way, life starts to work. It always did. Life always did work. Look at the trees. Are they fighting with each other? They go through their patterns of existence. In the spring they sprout, and in the fall the leaves fall off. No problem at all. No problem at all, right? Look at animals. Look at dogs. Look at animals. They don't have the kind of problems that we do. Yeah? Because they don't even have the capacity to consider themselves separate from life, just like nature. That's why nature is such a teacher, if you pay attention to nature, right? Because nature, it doesn't have problems. It takes a human being to have a problem. So I really want to emphasize the practice piece, especially to people who think that they know enough that the knowing of it should be enough. No, that's not the way this works. Even coming to class, right? Even coming to class, I try and make it clear to the people that come to this class in person, keep coming every single class. Not because I'm going to say something I never said before, right? I'm going to be repeating myself a lot of the time, trying to say it in new and different ways, so you can develop more and more of a clear understanding. But the purpose in coming to class is to teach your mind to start doing what works. Right, to teach your mind to start coming and exposing yourself to the practice and the teachings over and over and over again. Every time you come to class, it's a training session for your brain. Every time you come to class, every time you meditate, it's a training session for your brain. Every time you study the teachings, it's a training session for your brain. And gradually your brain will start to have an update. You'll start to have a 2.1 brain, right? We're even talking about this today. You hear it a lot now in some of these contemporary teachers of neuroscience talking about hacking the brain, right? Hacking the personality, right? How do you hack the personality? Pay attention to it, and when it's crazy, withdraw your interest. That's how you hack the personality. When it wants you to stay home instead of come to meditation class, right? Because if you stay home, you can take a nap, you can have some food, you can get a drink, you can smoke a joint, you can watch some TV, you can do some video games, right? That's the life that the personality wants you to lead, right? But if you don't listen to that voice in your head that tells you to do that, and you come to the meditation class, right? You're reconditioning your brain by doing that. And eventually what will happen, and I can report this from my own experience, that what used to be something that you had to make an effort to do, you had to force yourself to do, if you do it consistently over time, it becomes something that you look forward to. Meditation, I've been meditating for quite a while now, and when I sit to meditation, see, and this is something that I want you to understand. I know in the beginning, when you're practicing meditation, that it's challenging, okay? I understand that. It's uncomfortable to sit there with the craziness that's going on in your head. I understand that. But if you stay with this over time and that gradually starts to calm down and quiet down and lessen, the time will come that you can sit down to meditate and immediately go into a meditative state. Because you've trained your brain, you've trained the body to understand that this is, when I sit down and I go into this posture, right? The brain and the body will learn over time that when you sit that way, that you're sitting to meditate, and it will shift right into meditation. This will take some time, obviously, but it will happen if you persist, if you're patient and you persist and you do the meditation correctly. And so you can sit and you immediately go into a meditative state, and what's that like? Immediately space, immediately calm, immediately silent, immediately comfortable, immediately content. And you want to sit in this space of the truth. You want to sit in this space of the reality of what you are and let it have an effect on the brain. Let the brain learn about the truth. And it will take time and practice, but if you stick with it over time, eventually you will look forward to the time that you get to sit there and be awareness. And because you're practicing that and becoming more and more familiar with what it's like, what it feels like when you're being that, right? It will be something that when you're not practicing formal meditation and you're in your life, especially when you're facing challenges, right? All of a sudden it'll kick in. It'll just kick in. You know, one of the things that happens for people if you stick with this long enough is you start having unexplained experiences of happiness. Unexplained, because we're conditioned to believe happiness is something you have to pursue, right? The pursuit of happiness, right? And so we believe that's the way it is, right? Therefore, I have to pursue it. What's that mean? Well, I have to get what I want. That'll make me happy. I have to get rid of what I don't want. That'll make me happy. And so you've got this full-time job now of being happy. You got to work at it, right? Not only you have to work at it, but if you think that money's going to make you happy and you get all the money and you're not happy, then you have to switch strategies now. Oh, it wasn't the money. Maybe it's travel. Oh, I'll travel the world. You travel the world, you're still not happy. Well, maybe that wasn't it. Maybe it's relationship. I'll find somebody else to get related to. You see, you can spend your whole life changing your strategies, right? Until you're too tired to change your strategies anymore. And you just give up, you know, and just have a beer. But the reality of it is, this possibility is available to you at all times. It's there right now. This is the thing that's so important for you to understand. It's there right now. And if that's not the experience you're having, it's because you continue to be preoccupied. You're preoccupied. Your attention is on what you think. Your attention is on how you feel. Your attention is on the story of your life, isn't it? Aren't you in a story, right? Don't you tell stories all the time about you, about life, about other people, right? So wouldn't it be a relief to experience no story? Yeah, wouldn't it be a relief to experience just being here, you know, without a story, you know, and just allowing yourself to experience life the way life is? Like the trees, you know, experience life happening. Experience your spring and your midlife and the end of your life as a natural thing. It's natural, you know. For the body to die is natural, just like for a tree to change over, right? But in the story we tell ourselves about it, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. So terrifying that we can't allow ourselves to think about it because it's unthinkable. If I allow myself to think about death as a personality, right, I'll be even more neurotic. I'll need more medication. You know, I'll have to drink more alcohol. You know, I'll have to get lost in video games. Maybe I can live in that game. You see. Yeah, so it need not be the case. Suffering, I think that's the name of the last video that I put up on YouTube, you know. I said suffering is not natural. It isn't natural, you know. If you look at an infant that hasn't learned to be crazy yet, right? The infant's a natural version of a human being, right? They cry when they're uncomfortable. They smile when they're not, right? They're just responding to life as life is happening. They're in the flow of what's happening in life. That's what a baby is. And then you learn that, oh, you're not that natural awareness that the baby's experiencing. No, you have to join the club. Misery loves company. You have to join the club. So we're going to bring you into this mess that we're in here, and you know, and then you can be part of of us who go around all day complaining about it, and blaming everybody for the way it is. You know, that's one of the traits of the personality, right? The personality lives an ad-effect existence, In other words, if I'm happy, it's because something outside of me caused it. I'm at the effect of my circumstances, right? So my life is about controlling my circumstances and changing my circumstances because I'm living an ad-effect life, right? If I'm not happy, I start looking around to see, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on? Maybe it's this woman that I married that she made me happy, but she ain't making me happy no more. So I got to replace her. This is the way the craziness works, right? Until you can't stand your own mind. You can't stand yourself, right? Because you can't stand being as crazy as you are. Living a life full of anxiety and depression, right? And confusion, right? So this is a way for you to start to come out of the insanity, to start to go sane, to start to live life in a way where you can actually enjoy the experience of being alive. And it won't matter what happens because you understand that life is life. Life is life. It won't matter what happens. You no longer have this idea that everything should be comfortable. Everything should feel good. I should be happy all the time. That's ridiculous. That's naive. That's a childlike way of experiencing life. The reality of it is you should be goddamn grateful that you're uncomfortable, because without being uncomfortable, would you ever know you were comfortable? Yeah, so it works. The reality of life actually works, right? But we translate it into some crazy notion that it should be what we think it should be. Life should be what you think it should be. Other people should be the way you think they should be. Even you should be the way you think you should be. And none of it is. None of it is. So what happens? Disappointment, upset, right? Your expectations are not being fulfilled. You know, you wake up in the morning, and before you leave the house, you've been disappointed already. You know, there wasn't milk in the refrigerator. Right? Before you leave the house, you're disappointed already. You know, the shirt you wanted to wear was in the laundry. So you get in your car miserable. And then the voice in your head says, oh yeah, and this day's going to suck now. And you make sure that it's true. You make sure that it's true, right?
Then it starts to rain, and then you really get pissed.
Oh yeah, yeah. If it's raining, and you might as well go back in. Might as well just turn around and go back in, right? But this is the insanity that we're living, you know? And here's the thing that makes it interesting, right? It's not seen to be insanity, right? Because if we're all crazy, it's normal. If we're all crazy, then we point out the craziest people and say they're the ones that are crazy, right? So it's time to wake up. If you're hearing me, if you're listening to me talk right now, then you've been blessed. You've been blessed by the source to hear this message. And one of my favorite teachers calls it a subpoena, a spiritual subpoena. You've been served a subpoena to wake up. And why wouldn't you want to do that? You know, why wouldn't you want to do that? But if you're going to do it, you have to be realistic about it, which means that you're going to have to deal with your mind, which doesn't want to practice meditation. You're going to have to deal with your mind, which wants to do what feels good all the time and avoid what doesn't feel comfortable, even though going through the initial discomfort of dealing with something and practicing it until you're proficient is necessary to be a master of anything. And every human being has the potential to be a master. What is it master? A master is somebody who's awake and can interact with life in a way that's effective and responsive. That's mastery, right? Anybody that's a master can see how things work and can relate to the way things work in a natural way that you can produce consistent results. That's mastery. Power. What's the word power mean? Power means that you can cause what's happening, right? You're powerful if you can cause a result, right? So how about causing happiness? Yeah. How would you like to be powerful enough to cause happiness? How would you like to be powerful enough to cause peace, to cause calm, to cause satisfaction, to cause enjoyment, clarity? How would you like to be powerful enough to do that? Well, you are powerful enough to do that. All you have to do is recognize who you actually are and allow that awareness that's always available, right? Allow that awareness that's always available to be you, you know, to be you. Allow that awareness. Identify yourself with the awareness. The awareness is always happy. The awareness is always calm. The awareness is always satisfied. So you have the power to be calm, happy, and satisfied. All you have to do is stop being what you're not and start focusing your attention on being what you are. How do you do that? Well, the way you do that is identify with what you really are, and from there start paying attention to what you're not, right? And start seeing it as what you're not. And when you see it's what you're not, you withdraw your attention, you withdraw your energy, you withdraw your interest in it, because it is not going to be able to produce the results that you want. It's as simple as that. All right. Any questions before I let you go back to your misery? I know, in my own case, for example, because everything I say to you and I'm referencing and I'm speaking about is coming from the laboratory of my own experiment, right? The laboratory of my own. And I know myself that there were a lot of ways that I was being unethical and stupid and, you know, and doing things that were bad habits and so forth. But at some point I realized that I can't be that and be the awareness at the same time. It was a conflict, right? And so, but the other thing that's interesting and beautiful really is that I didn't actually have to change all that and become the awareness, right? Through the practice of meditation and through the practice of awareness, that eventually took me over. That eventually gradually took over the operation, right? So I didn't have to change. I became as moral and ethical as my true self is, right? It gradually took over, right? I didn't have to force. That's one of the things that's important to understand. You don't have to force the issue here. This isn't like changing like a personality changes where you have to make a lot of effort to change and control yourself and all that. No, no. As the awareness begins to come home, right? As the awareness begins to be you and you be it, right? That the qualities of the awareness become your qualities. They just naturally start to be the way you are. It's as simple as that. It's really easy because it doesn't involve change. You don't have to change to be what you already are what you are. And if you focus on that and pay attention to it, what will change is what you're not, and you won't be doing it. It'll just happen. It's natural. It's natural, like a seed, right? If you water a seed and you put it in the right environment, right, it grows. It's just natural. The same thing is true with your true nature.